here. We're finally here. We got another episode. It's been a while since our last upload. I think it's been about a month since our last episode. And as usual, my usual excuse is that I've just been very busy and, committing to other commitments that I made and just living life, I suppose, and staying busy with work and other things. So putting the podcast episodes on the back burner, but we're here. It's not like I was going to be gone for long, but we're finally here with another episode. Glad to be here. At the same time, just tired from a full day of work. When you're working full time, the whole day you're just spending energy on your work, on your craft, or errands that you have to run. And then when it comes to the late night, when it's all said and done, you're just tired. I usually am. When it hits the 8:30, 9 p.m. mark here in the West Coast in Cali, you just feel tired. You just don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. So it was hard getting myself to want to upload this and get this thing going so we could have our 17th episode. I believe it's 17. But it was bound to happen. So I guess you could say there were days like that when you just didn't feel like doing it, or I didn't feel like doing it because I was just tired. It's been a full day. It's hard to just want to push myself and want to talk about things for about 30 minutes to an hour. Yeah, so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of busyness or just hanging out, in the evenings or having other obligations, which is totally fine. Um, what I was trying to do when I was posting the last 11 or so episodes was I was trying to do 30 days of podcasting. I was trying to post a upload or episode every single day for a month. And if you're already familiar with my content, I do a lot of 30-day challenges to kind of push myself to do things to get myself out of the comfort zone. And this one, the 30-day podcast challenge, as you would call it, I didn't do so well. I didn't commit to it. I wasn't so into it or as committed as I should have been. And so out of all the challenges that I've done, this has been quite a disappointment. And I have let myself down. I have let the viewers, the audience, the fans here watching our content down. And I apologize for that. But it's okay. There'll be another chance. There'll be another month for me to have the opportunity to put up an episode every single day. But we got to get the timing right. Maybe the timing wasn't right for me to do it right in the June time. Although I did have more time on my hands. I was still busy, but only had enough time to post 10 to 11 episodes from what the record shows, from what's been documented. And I'm glad I got to put up the episodes and talk about the things that we did. And I'm looking forward to posting more. What is also challenging too is trying to think of things that I could talk about. So if you're going to talk about for 30 minutes to an hour, you got to kind of brainstorm like ideas or concepts or maybe philosophies that you want to share or whatever's on your mind. And so when you're brainstorming these things, it's kind of hard to think of ideas that you want to talk about. Although it would have been doable because a lot of ideas have been popping in my head, but again, maybe it's part of it could be procrastination, part of it busyness, being tired. After a full long day, you don't really want to do anything but rest, which I totally get, I totally understand, and prevented me from posting every single day. And so we will go out this challenge once again, and maybe there will be 1 month where I will dedicate myself to posting an episode one a day. So I'm looking forward to that. When the time comes, when timing's right, we will look to do that. But in the meantime, we will be present in this episode and just talk a lot of nonsense as we usually do. Or we could be a little bit more serious and talk about more important things, or what's been going on in my life, what's been going on with the current events. Not that I'm too much into what's going on in the world, just pretty focused on like my surroundings, what's going on in my life, being present on the tasks that I have on hand, and maybe I could share a little bit about that. So this episode could be a little bit about a life update, what's been going on in my life. And we do have some changes. We got a new headset, new um brand new headset because our old one died out pretty much. It's just stopped working, so I had to buy new ones. Got a Razer Black Shark. It's pretty comfortable, pretty nice. Does the job. Pretty high quality. So nice to have a new something new, as part of our streams, a new setup, I guess, a new item to keep this thing going. And I also felt like the past 2 months has just been a stretch in time where I'm just kind of gathering myself and recuperating, because I felt like the first 5 months has been pretty busy, pretty time consuming, a lot of energy spent doing a lot of things. I might have shared it in previous episodes, but it got to a point where I felt left out, and I was able to end some commitments that I have, finish it out, and took a lot of time to just kind of recuperate and recover, and even taking some days off of work and just relaxing a little bit, gathering myself. And that burnout kind of led to this, you could say, like a down period, um, where maybe the dopamines weren't that high, maybe just wasn't feeling the greatest in a lot of ways, maybe mentally, spiritually, even physically too. Um, and so I think I've been feeling better. I do feel a little bit more recuperated and mentally a lot better, maybe a little bit more sharper, and um, not feeling so down and about. So, I would say that's part of the reason why I didn't post as much episodes, as much content. Although I have been making content in my other platforms, but not so much on here. And so when you're feeling that way too, a lot of times you don't feel like doing a lot of things. You don't feel like putting yourself out there or talking about all the nonsense that we do on these episodes. So when you're not feeling your best, it's hard to get yourself going and uh commit to like certain tasks that you have to do, or things that you have on your to-do list, to check off those boxes on that list that you need to take care of and you want to do. And certainly posting up episodes on this channel, posting up podcasts has been something on that list, but I just haven't got around to it. And a lot of these factors that I just shared contribute to the lack of episodes. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we got started, despite me being tired and having low energy, we pushed ourselves and forced ourselves to get back on here. And it's good. It's good to be back. So, on top of that, what else? I mean, the usual routine of work and exercising, doing jujitsu, hanging out with friends. Not too much far out of the routine. We do have a trip, or at least I have a trip coming up. In about 2 weeks, I'll be going to Ghana to do some community service work with my church for about 2 weeks. So that'll be fun. I've never been to Ghana and never been to the continent of Africa. So I'm looking forward to seeing the difference in culture, you know, the atmosphere, just being in a new setting where everything feels or sees, very different from what I'm used to. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to just being a helping hand, wherever I'm needed. I'll just be of service. And so I'm looking forward to that and maybe meet some new people, meet some friends, and go from there. And so um, there's that trip coming in mid-August to the beginning of September. And also the Olympics have been going on, so that has been quite fun to watch, to see all these athletes excel in their field. And I'm a sporty type of guy. I love watching competition. I love watching sports, so I do get intrigued by that. I usually don't watch it live, but I like watching the highlights on the YouTube. And it's almost coming to an end. I think there's only about a couple days left. It's ending in August 11th. So, a lot of great athletes getting medals, doing well in their craft, winning, experiencing glory, that short time of glory after putting in thousands plus hours of work behind the scenes when no one else is watching. All for maybe one day of fame, one day of glory where they get the gold medal or they reach the finish line and they place top three or finish first. And it's intriguing. And as spectators like myself, we like to see greatness. We like to see who is the fastest person, who is the person that jumps the highest, or the best basketball player representing their countries. And so all of that does excite me. A lot of stars that of names that I'm familiar with, to see how well they do under the spotlight while representing their country, and a lot of pride on the line. And so it's just fun to watch. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy that comes along with these Olympics. I think with the whole opening ceremony, um, of maybe the portrayal of the Last Supper and mocking Christianity, with maybe their woke agenda. At least that's been what's portrayed through all that. But then I've also heard a lot of things or read into, like, that portrayal could be like this Greek painting back in the day where it kind of looks like the Last Supper, but it's not. It's a separate portrait of I guess these Greek figures that are also having their supper as well. And so, not sure what's going on there, but there's controversy about that. There's controversy about, like, the beds being made out of cardboard for the athletes. So, athlete compensation, maybe, it's definitely a controversy because athletes aren't getting paid to compete, and they're just doing it for pride for their nation. And there's opinions and thoughts about how it shouldn't be about athletes getting paid. It should be them having the honor of representing their country, which to many can seem like a cop out of like, oh, so who is getting all this money when the athletes aren't getting it? Because someone's getting paid through these televised events, through the ticketing of live events, but it's not the athletes. And it's a cop out in the sense that, hey, these athletes are putting their bodies on the line, but you're telling them they shouldn't get paid because they do it for the honor of representing their country. It shouldn't be about money. Then who's reaping in all the profits and who's it going to? The organizers, the people that set up the Olympics, the people? What's going on here? And so there's controversy about that. Athlete pay. Of course, athletes, I'm glad they get endorsements through sponsors, through other brands and stuff like that, through apparel or whatever the case may be. And I think that is fantastic. They should get compensated and paid in that way. But a lot of these athletes don't get that. Maybe the gold medalist, but what about the silver medalist or the bronze medalist or even the athletes that didn't place? You know, they're not getting paid. Should they get compensated for their competition? Of course they should. I mean, they put their livelihoods on the line. They put their body on the line. They spend their whole life trying to compete at the biggest stage in the world, representing their country. I think it's okay to pay them some money while they're doing that. At least that's just my thought. I mean, listen, someone's reaping in all this money, and we don't really know who they are, or at least I don't. I'm sure if you dig into it, you probably know who it is that are profiting off all these events. But the athletes should definitely get paid along with that. I mean, nothing wrong with making some money from these events, but at least pay the athletes at the same time. And we know the controversy about the Olympics of host countries where the taxpayers or the people pay majority of the money, and the people that are making it or organizing it, there's other people, wealthy people, that are taking in all the profits. They're not paying for the expenses of like the stadiums and all these venues to host these events, these sporting events. And then once it's made, then it's all left to dry. Like it becomes desolate. And then you built all this venue for just that event for the Olympics. And it has created communities and societies where it's kind of left them impoverished in a sense, or kind of left them hanging, and uh, left the place kind of worse than what it started before the Olympics or the events have happened. And so there have been protests about that over the years, the past couple Olympics, and there's a lot of documents about that too, or documentaries that show that. So despite it being such a great event where we could appreciate the athletes excelling at their craft, there's all these other things that are going on during the Olympics, and I don't want to dig too much into it because again, I don't do too much research for me to talk about it, but at least I'm aware to a certain extent that these things are going on. And it just makes you wonder like what it is that we're supporting and what we're watching, and who's really reaping the benefits from all these sporting events, and what kind of agenda that people are trying to push, and what's the real motive behind it, besides the fact, besides of maybe the purity of the sport of who is the fastest runner, or who is the best basketball team, or who is the best swimmer, things like that. And so I just look at, when I've been looking at the Olympics, obviously I just see the purity of just the sport, with the competition. And you can talk about other things. You can even talk about like performance enhancing drugs among the athletes, whether that's fair or not, of using it, how to make it a fair level playing field for these athletes. So there's things like that. All this crap that goes along with the Olympics. But to be honest, I haven't even thought about those things other than the opening ceremony or maybe the cardboard thing. Actually, I have thought about it along the way, but for the most part, I've been just appreciating the events. I'm not thinking about kind of the other nonsense that goes along with the Olympics. But as I talk about it right now, it kind of reminds me of those things about the Olympics. I think what I was really trying to get at too was like how the athletes like try to seek glory for such a short period of time after putting in a lifetime of work, and they do everything just for um that short time of glory of them raising the trophy or having the medal around their neck. Like, why do people do that? Why do people seek that and put their whole lives into it? Why is that so meaningful? Even though some of these athletes know that afterwards, like it might not even be profitable in a monetary sense. Although it can be, and a lot of times it can be that, like it does change your lives, but that's only the medalists that would get it. What about the other people that put in the same type of commitment but come up short? What happens to them? You know? And so that's something I've been pondering about because only a small percentage succeed and do so well. And kudos to them, congrats to them. I mean, give them credit for the work that they put in. But there's like seconds of differential in these races where there's a lot of great athletes here on the biggest stage, but they don't place top 3 and they come up short, and they put their whole lives on the line just to experience medaling or being the best. And so it makes me contemplate like, oh man, is that really worth spending a lifetime to experience that short time of glory? And to a lot of people it is. Or at least to a few probably, and are willing to put in the work. But I think that just fascinates me that all the hours that you put in where no one is watching, no one really acknowledges you. Or some people do, you make achievements along the way at certain levels, maybe in high school, at an amateur level, and a collegiate level. And so you do get glory and praise along the way, but the pinnacle is always like the Olympics, right? Or at a professional level. But we're just talking about the Olympics. So at a national, global stage, I guess that's what people strive for. I think that just fascinates me how the human mind gravitates toward that. As even as spectators too, we want to see the Olympics. We don't care so much about the best national track athlete or swimmer, or we do to a certain extent, but we want to see how, if you're the best in your nation, how you compete against the best in other nations, right? Who is the best in the world? And people want to see winners. I think people love winners. It's just the way it is. People love to see competition and see people go at it and to find out who is the best in certain categories or certain fields in these sporting events. So it is fascinating how we are drawn to that. And even as someone, a sports athlete like myself that I've been in the past, that's something that I sought too. Is like, oh, I wish I could be like a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan, be the best player in the best professional basketball league and receive that glory. And we could definitely dive into that in another episode about self-seeking glory and being the best, what that entails. But it when I watch the Olympics, that's kind of what comes to mind is this like what people would do for that short time of glory to be the best and to be acknowledged for it. I think that's pretty fascinating. That seems like it's ingrained in our human nature to want to strive for that, and also for other people to want to see that as well. So, yeah, that's been going on too. Watching the Olympics, that's been a lot of fun. Um, Other than the trip that I have, kind of recuperating. Also, probably taking the chance to kind of reflect on the first half of the year. And I kind of shared about it, just grinding a lot, putting in a lot of work. And then at the midpoint, kind of deflating a little bit and trying to gather myself to finish out the year strong. And maybe some of the goals that I had in the beginning of the year might not come into fruition possibly by the end of this year, but it could carry over onto the next year, and maybe that's something I could achieve over time. And it's also giving me thought on maybe transitioning into doing following a different path, maybe career wise as well, or even um, also transitioning, like spending what I want to spend my time doing. And so I've been giving it a lot of thought about maybe it's time for a change in a lot of ways. And I don't know what that consists of. Really, there's a lot of uncertainty. Maybe me wanting to do a job change or a career change, or me wanting to move somewhere else or do something that might be like a brand new experience. I don't know. I think the time period where I've been trying to recuperate has given me thought about a lot about transition in my life. And I'm not sure what that entails, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there what it could be. And so that's been on my mind too when I'm giving this update is like maybe there's a transition coming in my life. Maybe there's something new I want to pursue, but I can't really pinpoint what it is that I want to do, but I've been kind of seeking out opportunities to see what's there that could be different, and just kind of looking into it and being open-minded. And so I'm interested to see what's to come, and usually with transitions or uncertainty there's a bit of doubt of what's to come, but I just I just try to have faith in what's in store for me. And I believe there could be good opportunities to come, and I'm looking forward to it. So that's where I'm at my life. And does that mean for me, like, spending less time on content or even more time on content? Possibly, yeah. I mean, it could possibly lead to me committing more to content, or either taking more of a step back from it, because these thoughts are always there of how much time I want to invest in making content, editing, and producing stuff. It's always on my mind, and it always fluctuates. I've been trying to think. I've been trying to be consistent with it, with the uploads and stuff, but always wondering if that is something I want to continue to do. So that's always on my mind. And with these thoughts of transition, you know, a lot of things to consider with what I want to do with my life. And so, um, yeah, I think it's okay to be at this place. I'm very open, and I feel like for the most part I have recuperated and kind of got my wits back, kind of got my energy and maybe my enthusiasm back. And so looking also for new opportunities that I could be interested in. And so in the meantime, though, I would like to definitely put up more episodes and talk about more things that I got on my mind, interesting things, interesting perspectives. If you guys got something that you guys want me to talk about or share, then definitely put it in the comment section so I could consider that and we could talk about it. So, um I'm glad I got to do this episode and kind of share with you where I'm at and what I've been up to. I haven't been up to too much that is new, but I got to share a little bit about that, and also looking to post more 30-day challenges that I've done recently. So I'll be on the lookout for that, and probably more episodes on the podcast. So I just want to thank you guys so much for just being there with me and supporting me over the years. And I hope to put up more. So be on the lookout for that. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this content. Drop a like for this video if you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys next time on the next episode. Laters.